Yo, good evening, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, the tri-state areas of New Jersey and Connecticut, plus the 5 spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man and homie, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, rhymes with now or later, like the candy. Your host with the most, Mr. the Still Lonely Nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, and Queens, New York native, who is also a New York Giants, New York Knicks, and New York Mets fan. From the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And you are now rocking with me by listening, tuning in, and watching the 127th episode of the Sports Edition show. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast. Live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube. And of course, this is where I do my podcast recordings, and this is the place for anything going on with the New York teams as far as the New York Giants, the Knicks, and the Mets, and along with others. Before I get into the show, I want to actually take a moment to actually acknowledge something that happened this past Saturday. And I seen some videos earlier on Threads, and it was a video of a car that was stuck underneath the tunnel, which took place in Bergen County of New Jersey. I did see the Bronx get flooded. I did see certain parts of Brooklyn get flooded. Even Elmhurst, Queens, New York, by Queens Boulevard, where the Queens Center Mall is, also got flooded as well. And I'm really hoping that everybody in those boroughs and of course the people in Long Island and everywhere else, I'm really hoping that everyone is okay from that flash flooding. And we might be in for more flash flooding as far as more storms and stuff. So be careful out there. Be careful out there. Be sure to stay safe in your homes. So you don't have to worry too much about and also if you are parking your car, make sure it's not underneath a tree, so the tree branch, the heavy tree branches don't fall on your car. So you might want to think over where you're going to park. So be careful where you park your cars and stuff. All right. And I hope most of the people, including my sister, I'm hoping that she's all right from the past storm that happened, as far as flash flooding, of course. So hopefully nobody got hurt. Hopefully there's no fatalities whatsoever. Be safe in your homes. And if there's any damages or whatever during the aftermath, I'll actually try to cover that on my other podcasts on the following episodes. All right, now that I got that out the way, make sure you click on that subscribe button on the sports YouTube channel page right here. Leave a like and a comment alongside with the sports topics, especially you can hype the video. You can also share the video with your friends that's also into sports, whether they are Mets fans, whether they are Knicks fans, whether they are Giants fans, college sports, whatever. It really helps me out as far as like the subscribers and the algorithm. So you know what I'm saying? So please spread the word about this podcast right here. All right. All right, now that I got that out the way, I haven't done any rumored stories whatsoever, and I think I'm gonna start off before I get into the quick side bleacher bar segment. Let's get into excuse me. Let's get into rumor alerts in the air. All right. Let's get started. All right, so let's get into this first rumor right here. This one right here is pertaining to the Mets. All right. And so I wait for this to. Okay, here we go. According to this article by Sportskeeda, after a disappointing 2025 season that saw them shockingly fail to qualify for the playoffs, New York Mets hope to see their team improve in 2026. Much to their frustration, however, things have not gone to plan. The Mets' season so far has been nothing short of a disaster, and the team head into the mid-season break occupying last place in the NL East with a 40 to 57. Actually, it's 42 and 59. As a result, they are expected to sell heavily at the trade deadline in order to pave the way for a massive rebuild. Actually, I don't know if the rebuild's going to happen. I would actually go for a retool instead of a rebuild. I'll actually discuss the distinction between those two in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. On Sunday's episode of GM Territory, the Athletics' Jim Bowden identified the 4 players he thinks the organization should try to offload, citing how in-demand quality bullpen pitchers are at the moment. Hold on. Bowden argued that the likes of Luke Weaver, who signed a 2-year, $22 million contract to move to Queens in the offseason, Oscar Bronzabon, Brooks Raley, and AJ Minter have a good chance of fetching the kind of returns the 2-time World Series champions will be looking for. A quote, I think the most value at the trade market are going to be the next 4 names: Luke Weaver, Oscar Bronzabon, Brooks Raley, and AJ Minter, Bowden said. There are so many contending teams that need bullpen help that are going to be chasing bullpen help. That is where the Mets can win this trade deadline. Focus on those 4 relievers. Get as many top prospects as you can to rebuild. There's no question the New York Mets should be selling. And I think those 4 relief pitchers are probably at the most trade value they are going to have at the trade deadline. That's crazy, man. We'll get to Freddie in a sec. We'll get to Freddie in a sec, though. Why? So here's my thing with this right here. Why go for more prospects when you need more starting pitching? That's the thing that I'm not really getting. That's the thing I'm not really getting on this. So it's like, why do a whole rebuild when you could just do a fucking retool? Like, let's be for real, man. Moneyball Sterns doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Yeah, and MLB Insider lists 2 more Mets pitchers that could part ways with the club at the trade deadline. And the same video clip, Jim Bowden also pointing out 2 more Mets pitchers that could move on at this year's trade deadline, Freddie Peralta and Clay Holmes. Well, Freddie Peralta, obviously, you would think he's going to be a free agent and would have the most trade value, Bowden said. But he hasn't pitched well. For them to get the value back that they want, he needs to have a really good 2 or 3 starts. I think a lot of teams would be scouting him. Clay Holmes is coming off the injured list. He was their best starter when he went on the IL. Although he does want to sign a long-term deal. So they may end up keeping him by signing him. But he's a guy that I think contending teams will look at. For the 2026 season, Freddie Peralta has a 5-8 or 5-9 record and a 4.66 ERA. I think it's now 5/5 right now. While Clay Holmes has a 4.4 record with a 2.39 ERA. And speaking of Freddie, let's get into another rumor alert. Yeah, let's get into another rumor alert. So, and this is from Clutch Points. The New York Mets have gotten off to a strong unofficial second half of their season, picking up 2 out of 3 games against the Philadelphia Phillies over the weekend. Still, the Mets are firmly behind the 8 ball in the NL East divisional race, sitting in last place by a wide margin with a record of 42-58. Actually 59. With this being the case, many expect the Mets to be sellers instead of buyers at the upcoming MLB trade deadline. And one name that has come up repeatedly in trade discussions is that of pitcher Freddie Peralta. However, recently the team got a harsh reality check about Peralta's trade interest or lack thereof around the league from Mark Feinsand of MLB.com. While Peralta would typically be a coveted arm around the deadline, the right-hander has been consistently inconsistent all season, reported Feinsand. Peralta hadn't completed 6 innings in a start in more than a month and may not be viewed as a frontline starter by contenders. Indeed, it's difficult to see opposing teams having much faith in Peralta given his shaky performance for the Mets this season. Entering Sunday's game against the Phillies, Peralta had posted a 6.05 ERA over his last 10 starts and was 5-8 overall on the season. While some teams might theoretically bank on a positive regression to the mean, they'll likely want to see signs of that starting to materialize before they part with significant assets in order to bring him in. That is crazy, man. Peralta isn't the only trade candidate on the Mets, with players ranging all the way up to star Francisco Lindor. Again, he's not going anywhere, man. I want to touch on what he said to Chelsea James in regards to the trade deadline in a sec. Seeing their names come up in discussions. In any case, the MLB trade deadline is set for August 3rd at 6 p.m. Sheesh. You gotta feel for the Mets, man, and what they're going through. You gotta feel for them. Yeah, so Peralta isn't the only trade candidate on the Mets with players ranging all the way up to star Francisco Lindor, which I actually am going to touch on in a bit. Yeah, that's crazy, man. This is so fucking crazy right there, man. And that's crazy. And we got some more rumors to talk about here too. Yeah, I want to touch on the Francisco Lindor thing, man. This is crazy, man. And this is from the folks from Heavy. All right, so the New York Mets took 2 out of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies in their first series after the All-Star break. Star shortstop Francisco Lindor helped lead Sunday's victory by hitting a 2-run home run in the first inning before adding an RBI single in the second. Um, despite being under contract through the 2031 season, Lindor has remained at the center of trade speculation. Lindor responds to rumors. Before Sunday's game, Lindor spoke with SNY's Chelsea Janes about the trade rumors and whether they've affected him during what has been a disappointing season. He said, in quote, listen to this. It doesn't bother me when it's coming from outside sources. When it's more inside, that would bother me, but that's not happening. Lindor said, I try to stay away from it. I try not to read it or really talk about it. It's just an unnecessary distraction. But I am human. I have a family, and they all talk and they all hear it. But since it's not happening in here, it's okay. A few hours later, Lindor backed up his words by finishing just a triple shy of the cycle while recording the 1,700th hit of his career. Yeah. And wait a second. So over the weekend, Chelsea James reported that the Mets have deemed only Juan Soto, Carson Bench, AJ Ewing, and pitchers Nolan McLean and Christian Scott are untouchable. Earlier in the week, it seemed like the New York Yankees could emerge as a landing spot for Lindor. However, MLB insider John Heyman reported the Yankees have zero interest in pursuing the star shortstop. Excuse me. Unfortunately, the Yankees have a lousy shortstop, Anthony Volpe. The Yankees are showing zero interest. Yeah, I read. The Yankees are showing zero interest in available Mets star Francisco Lindor, Heyman said. Lindor's 2026 season, Lindor has appeared in just 43 games this season after missing time with a calf injury. He has logged 183 at bats. Entering Sunday's game, Lindor was batting 205 with 22 runs, 33 hits, 5 home runs, and 12 RBIs. He also carried a 354 slugging percentage and a 639 OPS. Yeah. And let me see. Another trade rumor involving Clay Holmes. According to AMNY, which is New York, Clay Holmes is working his way back from a broken fibula suffered in May when he took a line drive off the leg. But will his next start come as a member of the Mets? The injured ace is generating trade buzz, with the Chicago White Sox showing interest as one of the surprising buyers ahead of Major League Baseball's August 3rd trade deadline, not the 4th. Per USA Today's Bob Nightingale, I don't know about that one, formerly one of the worst teams in baseball for years, including an MLB record 121 losses in 2024. An entertaining core of power hitters led by Colston Montgomery and Munetaka Murakami has the Pale Hoses sitting in first place in the AL Central. That's American League. Starting pitching, though, is a necessity, and Holmes would be just what they need. The veteran right-hander had a 2.39 ERA with a 1.10 whip in 9 starts this season before hitting the injured list. The Mets' willingness to trade the 33-year-old, though, is unknown. Multiple reports have tabbed that Holmes and David Stearns are mutually interested in pursuing a contract extension. Should those talks gain little traction, though, the likelihood of a trade skyrockets. Holmes has a $12 million option on his contract for next season that he will most certainly decline, as a big payday is in store after showing an ability to thrive as a starting pitcher. He had been a closer for the better part of the previous 7 years before joining the Mets in 2025. A Stearns fire sale continues to loom over the Mets with 2 weeks until the trade deadline. Actually, it's less right now. Nolan Lightning McClain, Christian Scott, Juan Soto, AJ Ewan, and Carson Bench are the only players who are deemed untouchable. Francisco Lindor should be untouchable too. I mean, nobody's going to take on that fucking contract that he has. He has like 5 more years left in his deal. So yeah, there you go right there. Another rumor in regards to Steve Cohen. Rising Apple. Okay, so this year's New York Mets trade deadline approach is going to be different. One of the latest rumors to come out is courtesy of Jim Duquette, who has been splashing cold water all over potential Francisco Lindor trade scenarios. One of Duquette's latest has to do more about the team's entire strategy over the next 2+ weeks. Unlike 2023, when Steve Cohen opened his wallet and paid a large portion of what was still owed to Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, he doesn't sound quite as open to it this time around. The boldness of the 2023 Mets trade deadline had very little payoff. By picking up the salaries, the Mets added good prospects who didn't turn into much. Luis Angel Acuna was traded for Luis Robert Jr., who's also an awful outfielder. Drew Gilbert last year to rent Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Clifford will be lucky to hit his weight in AAA this season as if he could lower the strikeouts. We can't blame Steve Cohen for refusing to give David Stearns the same shovel he gave Billy Epler back in 2023. This will be only the second time under Cohen where the Mets were deadline sellers. They tried and failed in 2021 with Javier Baez as the biggest addition. The 2022 and 2024 attempts got them into the playoffs, with the former not packing a large enough punch to get them out of the wild card round or even win the NL East, which was theirs for the taking. In 2025, they bought again and came up well short in what was on paper a good deadline, but in reality, not. The Mets aren't a cash cow for Cohen. They lose him money. This year, once again, he'll be in the red. The creativity of the 2023 trade deadline netted the Mets some impressive prospects for sure, but the payoff never happened. Other prospects added, like the ones for David Robertson and Tommy Pham, are still with the organization but stuck in the lower levels and not impressing a whole lot. It sounds like the Mets will have a more standard inside-the-box type of trade deadline than they did before. Maybe that's for the best coming from a team sometimes caught overthinking things. Moneyball Sterns is regarded as a baseball genius by both by his fans and those who aren't impressed, but in a sarcastic tone. A more standard rental for your best offer might be best for the Mets after all. We're certainly open for some surprises, like adding a controllable player. For sure, Stearns can't help but do something unexpected. What he won't be able to do is trade a guy like Bo Bichette with Cohen picking up any future salary. Yeah. So there you go right there. There you go right there, man. Yeah, I don't think Bo Bichette's going anywhere either, because him and Lindor both have no trade clause. You know what I'm saying? What else? What else do we got to talk about here? What else? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. So I think that's all the rumor alerts in the air for now. If I see anything, I'll probably touch on it some other time. All right, so we're gonna get in. All right, so for this, consider those rumors to be debunked and just take it with a grain of salt. Basically, it's not official. Now we can go to something I saw on Instagram and whatnot involving a former Mets pitcher, Adam Ottavino, who is basically accusing the Mets of using artificial intelligence. Now, what is artificial intelligence, you ask? I will break that down in this segment right here of the Quick Side Bleacher Bar. All right, let's go. Here's what's happening. So basically what happened is the Mets are being accused of using artificial intelligence. And this is from the folks from Yard Barker. So here's what's going on here. So Major League Baseball made the decision to start restricting how iPads can be used in dugouts during games, limiting the custom tab that teams had at their disposal. The reasoning behind it was that some teams were assessing the tab and creating programs that went beyond the intended use of the iPads. One of the ways it was improperly being used as a pitch selection device during games. We also may have some idea as to one of the main teams that was the focal point. All right. It is the New York Mets. Former New York Mets pitcher says the team was using expensive artificial intelligence program to call pitches. So, former New York Mets relief pitcher Adam Ottavino said on Thursday during a Q&A session on his YouTube show Baseball and Coffee Conversations podcast that the Mets were one of the teams MLB was cracking down on. Ottavino said the Mets were bragging early on in the season about a very expensive artificial intelligence program that was helping them call pitches. Among other things, from the dugout, Ottavino said that whenever MLB caught wind of the program, they decided to act and disable the custom tab during games. He added that the Mets were likely not the only team using a similar program, but that they were one of the teams he knew about using it. Given his conversations with coaches, he said that the program may have cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what he's claiming. There are a few truly eye-opening things about this development. The first is that it was not really doing the Mets any good, as their pitching staff enters the second half of the season with a 4.24 ERA, 18th in all of MLB. The second is that it is stunning how much the MLB mindset around anything involving a computer has changed over the past 2 decades. Just think back to the way something as simple as the Nerd Boat Analytics Department and SAB hold on and SABR metrics was treated in the early 2000s. An entire industry of former players, executives, writers, and fans attempted to dismiss the idea of using numbers to analyze players, build rosters, and manage games because it wasn't how the game was meant to be played. There were intangibles you had to account for that a computer or spreadsheet could not measure. Michael Lewis' book Moneyball: The Art of Winning an Unfair Game, which told the story of the Oakland A's use of analytics by the Nerd Boat Analytics Department to find undervalued players, launched millions of hot takes both in favor of it and against it. Now, analytics is not the only it's not it's not only an accepted part of the game, but it has largely taken over the game and front offices. There is not a team in the league that is deeply invested in numbers and analyzing every aspect of the game in details never thought possible or imagined. That is also sensible and understandable. Information is good. It helps. It makes teams better and can make plays better depending on how it is all used. The use of an artificial intelligence program to call pitches, however, is almost certainly taking it too far and flying a little too close to the sun with it. There are plenty of criticisms over artificial intelligence in general and whether it is a positive or negative contribution to society. But in this instance, it legitimately is taking the human element out of the game, at least in the manner in which it was being used to call pitches. Ottavino spent 15 years in MLB as a relief pitcher, including My apologies, folks. My internet was acting a little weird, so please forgive me. As I was saying before, my internet was acting a little strange. I wanted to break down what artificial intelligence is basically about. So basically, let me just break this down. Um, so artificial intelligence is the technology that has the ability of a digital computer or computer controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. The term is frequently applied to the project of developing systems endowed with the intellectual processes characteristic of humans, such as the ability to reason, discover meaning, generalize, or learn from past experience. Since their development in the 1940s, digital computers have been programmed to carry out very complex tasks, such as discovering proofs for mathematical um, theorems or playing chess with great proficiency. Despite continuing advances in computer processing speed and memory capacity, there are there are as yet no programs that can match full human flexibility over wider domains or in tasks requiring much everyday knowledge. On the other hand, some programs have attained the performance levels of human experts and professionals in executing certain specific tasks. So that artificial intelligence in this limited sense is found in applications as diverse as medical diagnosis, computer search engines, voice or handwritten recognition, and chatbots. And for the record, I'm going to say this a couple of times, man. Artificial intelligence robots do not have a soul. It doesn't have a fucking soul. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have the capability to actually um, reproduce things like TV, films, and of course, the production side of making music, and I just feel like this whole thing is just really, really, really. It's doing more harm than good, man. Unfortunately, it's doing more harm than good because of the massive layoffs that people been going through because of this stupid artificial intelligence. What does that have to do with a person getting a job? You know what I'm saying? What does that have to do with anything? I don't get it. Um yeah, man, this is just crazy, man. Um this is just crazy though, man. And I believe Andy Green had touched on this too. He touched on it a little bit, but not that much. So, New York Mets interim manager Andy Green said the club is fully compliant with Major League Baseball when asked about a report that singled out his organization for using artificial intelligence for in-game strategy decisions. Whatever the rules are, we remain fully compliant, and Major League Baseball makes those determinations. Green said before Saturday's game against the Philadelphia Phillies. Former Mets reliever Adam Ottavino said on his YouTube live stream Baseball and Coffee podcast that the Mets had been using AI and cited spending by team owner Steve Cohen on the software. Ottavino pitched for the Mets from 2022 to 2024 and is now a broadcaster on the New York Yankees Yes Network. Um, yeah, the Mets were actually the main team that got cracked down on. Ottavino said they had an AI program, artificial intelligence, that was very expensive apparently, and were bragging about it a little bit early on in this year. Some of the coaches that I know were talking about it from around the league, and they had basically an artificial intelligence program helping them pick pitches, and I think some other stuff. Um, Asked specifically about Ottavino's assertion, Green said, it is. I don't think it does us any good to talk about what everybody says publicly. From my perspective, what I just said remains true. We remain compliant with everything MLB's asked us to do, and we'll continue to do that. Major League Baseball is restricting iPad usage in dugouts. The tablets have access to video and league provided data, and also included a custom tab where teams could access other programs. MLB made the custom tabs inaccessible to teams starting Wednesday night when the second half of the season began. Green deferred to MLB and said he did not have a strong opinion on the issue. So yeah, look, man, this is tough, man. This is very tough, man. I'm not gonna really hold you. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So I would actually, yeah, I would actually go on to before I go into any more baseball related stuff, man. Let me get into some basketball stuff, man, real quick, and then I'll hop back and circle back on some Mets baseball news. Um, okay, let's talk about the four biggest disappointments from Ugly Summer League. They just played the Summer League actually, so let's talk about the Knicks. All right, and according to the folks from Sports Illustrated, let's get into what's going down. Um, okay. All right. Excitement for the Knicks trip to Summer League quickly evaporated, excuse me, in the first few days. It became clear the team's playoff success would not carry over in Las Vegas, and New York ultimately finished play at an ugly 1-4. While there were a few bright spots, this summer league was mostly headlined by several players who didn't impress or needed to show more given the circumstances. Number one, Mohamed Diawara. The guy everyone wanted to see in Vegas was Mohamed Diawara, fresh off of a promising rookie campaign, being part of a finals win and inking an extension. The hopes were high. He'd begin his second NBA season on a high note. Instead, Diawara put up two dreadful performances in a leading role, then was sidelined with a finger injury. As a result, he finished summer league averaging a measly 3.5 points while shooting 10%. Yes, 10% or worse from both the field and deep, despite seeing 24.7 minutes per contest. Now Diawara um, is more of a finisher than an initiator, and the Knicks experimented with him in more of the latter role, the more of the latter role. Excuse me. But this was a valid approach to test the range of Diawara, Diawara's capabilities especially against lesser competition. The fact he failed at that job while also airballing shots and being a net negative in spite of his clear tools is a massive letdown. Maybe a finals hangover can be blamed a bit, but he wasn't much involved on that front to close his rookie year. A dud in Summer League isn't a reason to make massive changes to the team's plans for him, but it was a chance for the young wing to make some positive inroads as he vies for more playing time. This showing, though, just keeps him on the outskirts of the rotation for 2026 to 27. Number two, Dylan Jones was a name to watch for New York down in Vegas after spending his last campaign as a two-way player with the Knicks. Given given he's still a free agent to this point, the this was a chance for Jones to show the team's investment in him this season was worthwhile. But instead, Jones mostly served as just a supporting player who was overshadowed by new arrivals, even though he averaged the fifth most minutes per game, 22.6 in summer league. Jones managed a whole 8.2 points per game. Meanwhile, he shot a lackluster 34.2% from the field and just 13.3% from deep. In addition, he was a turnover machine, logging 3.4 per game over 5 appearances, which led all of New York's roster by a good margin. This is a player who just notched 15.7 points per game and shot 37.3% from deep in the G League this past season, which set him up to dominate against opposing players who lack experience. Yet it was his newcomer teammates who impressed more than he did. Suddenly, this puts the two-time NBA champ at risk of not coming back on a two-way for the Knicks, who have more exciting options to consider after Summer League. Surely Jones is going to be kicking himself for squandering this clear opportunity. Number three, it speaks volumes about Pacome Dadiet, that even though he led the Summer League roster in scoring 15.3 points per game, no one is really pleased by his showing. This stems from an extremely inefficient performance, going 36.4% from the field and just 16% on threes, despite 6.3 attempts per game on the latter, as well as defense that left a lot to be desired. That's without mentioning Daddy is in preparation for his third NBA season at this point. With 47 points under his belt over 2 years, Daddy had the major experience edge in Vegas. Gyms full of rookies and G League players still seeking legitimate playing time in the NBA. Yet this didn't result in any real separation from Daddy and the rest of the pack. That's a problem for that's a problem for the Knicks, who continue to potentially waste time on a youngster who may never reward their patience. This just makes trading Daddy even more of a necessary move for New York to better have a chance at defending its title. His nearly $3 million salary for this year sticks out like a sore thumb, but the Knicks could possibly package him with second round picks and or another player to pursue an upgrade. Oh boy. All right. Okay, let's take a look at another player. Hold on 1 second. All righty then. All right. Number 4, Ozaya Sellers. The inclusion of local product Ozaya Sellers of the Summer League roster had many thrilled. After being a key part of St. John's recent success, there was a possibility Sellers could make Madison Square Garden his home again by winning the Knicks over. Yet, Sellers didn't leave the mark necessary to make that truly happen. He was given a solid runway with 14.5 minutes per game, but he mostly fell by the wayside. His 5.8 points per game didn't exactly turn heads, when, especially since he struggled so much from deep, 18.2%. His strong 3-point shooting in college career, 37.8%, was one of his best paths to catch the Knicks' attention, but it didn't translate at all to Summer League. With his shot not falling, Sellers failed to make an impact in other ways with only 2.2 RPG and no other stat worth mentioning. For anyone rooting for him, this wasn't the most ideal Vegas for the Red Storm alum. Let's see. Also, yeah, we got a few shocks to talk about here, man. Other than baseball, actually. So there you go, right there. So the New York Knicks are still relishing in the excitement of their first NBA championship in 53 years and a ticker tape parade that was fit for royalty. But star guard Jalen Brunson is already looking ahead to next year, and we don't mean just basketball. On Tuesday, Brunson went on the NBC's Today Show to announce that he's releasing his debut book next year. The book is called Jalen Plays It All, and according to the book's official description, it's an inspiring children's book about trying new things, working hard, and discovering your strengths. End quote. He says, I'm beyond happy to share that Jalen Plays It All, written by me and illustrated by the incredible Neely Daggett, will be released by Fewell and Friends. He shared on social media. This children's book is a story about discovering that success doesn't happen overnight. That's true. There are mistakes, setbacks, and moments when giving up may feel easier than pushing forward. And while basketball was always at the center of my journey, every sport I played helped build the habits, character, and work ethic that made me who I am. Available to pre-order wherever you buy books. Um, Jalen Brunson's new book offers valuable lessons for life. The book's official description describes it as an inspiring read that's also autobiographical. It'll arrive on August 3rd, 2027 of next year. In his first ever picture book, Jalen takes readers on a journey through his childhood, from swimming and football to baseball, tennis, and beyond, in his own words. The description states, along the way, he discovers that success doesn't happen overnight. There are mistakes, setbacks, and moments when giving up feels easier than pushing forward. But with every new experience, Jalen learns valuable lessons about discipline, confidence, teamwork, and perseverance. Jalen Brunson was a showstopper in Knicks Spurs Game 5. Um, he scored 45 points in the team's series winning Game 5 against the Spurs. He's a huge reason the Knicks got to the NBA Finals and ultimately won it. Brunson was at the ticker tape parade along with his wife, Dr. Ali Marks Brunson, and their daughter, Jordan James Brunson, who turns 2 years old in July. After the parade, Al- Ali took to social media to show her love for New York City. The great the greatest city in the world, New York, we love you. She wrote on Instagram with blue and red heart emojis and a yellow star emoji. The post has nearly 150,000 likes and more than 500 comments, so it appears New York loves the Brunsons right back. Yeah, so that's actually a good idea. That's actually a good idea to actually do a children's book though, man. And 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 like it says right here, it's going to arrive on August 3rd, 2027. All right. I'm not sure which bookstores is going to be, but if I hear anything, I would gladly bring it on this sports podcast right here. All right. Now we're gonna get into let's get into this. All right, so the New York Knicks have one one roster spot up for grabs with a glaring need for another big man following the departures of Mitchell Robinson and Ariel um, Hukporti. With free options drying up, Leon Rose took a worthwhile under the radar swing by trying to poach restricted free agent Musa Sisse from Dallas. The 23-year-old signed a 2-year, $4.7 million offer sheet with the Knicks on Saturday afternoon, as per NBA insider Jake Fisher. Due to the first April rules, New York couldn't acquire him via sign and trade. Dallas had until Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to match, but they wasted no time matching that pittance just 10 hours later. After winning a title on the back of Jalen Brunson, whom Rose bet big on and stole away from Dallas, it was hard to see them letting the Knicks bet on the upside of one of their players again. The Knicks also hired Casey Smith away from the Mavs in the summer of 2024 as the vice president of sports medicine after he was canned, and he's arguably been the MVP behind the scenes. Dallas couldn't have egg on their face 3 times, courtesy of the Knicks. A few weeks ago, the Mavericks picked up Cisse. They picked up Cisse's qualifying offer to make him a two-way restricted free agent with intentions of matching any outside offer. The contract the Knicks tried to sneak past the goalie was so cheap that it was an easy call for Dallas to match, despite some roster overlap and juggling needed. Dusty May's team has a glut of centers with Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively II, Morez Johnson, and Santi Aldama. However, Lively has no timetable for return after multiple foot surgery, and the team is reportedly shopping Gafford. They also now have 16 guaranteed salaries, so they'll eventually have to eat a contract, but they have time since rosters can stretch to 21 players in the offseason. By matching Cisse will have a no trade clause, and Dallas wouldn't be able to trade him to the Knicks for a year. However, the Knicks could sign him if he waived. Cisse is the only player not on a fully guaranteed salary for the season ahead. His salary increases to $1.1 million in protection if not waived on or before 11:59 p.m. Eastern on September 1st. The balance is guaranteed on October 1st, as per ESPN's Bobby Marks. The Knicks obviously like Cisse's diamond and rough potential. During the Knicks' um, demarcation line loss to Dallas on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Cisse gave New York's front office a glimpse of what he could be. The former Christ the King star, like Jose Alvarado, recorded a career high in points, 15 and 4 blocks, alongside with 9 rebounds in 20 minutes. In 38 games, Cisse averaged 4.5 points and 5.7 rebounds across 13.9 minutes per game. Furthermore, Cisse averaged 1.7 steals and 4 blocks per 100 possessions, with a 17 offensive rebounding rate and 25% defensive rebounding rate per NBA.com. The 6'11" bouncy big man was also one of just 3 players to average one plus steal and 4 plus blocks per 100 possessions last season, along with Victor Wembanyama and Robert Williams. Despite already adding 14-year veteran Andre Drummond, the Knicks have been searching for an athletic and young big man to shore up the front court rotation. Cisse's 7.75 wingspan and intriguing rim protection skills fit that mold far more than anybody available. Chasing the youngsters shows that the Knicks are not content with just Drummond and an unseasoned third stringer like, say, Liam Robbins, who was with the team in Summer League. In the coming days, they will likely turn their attention to Nick Richards or settle for multiple journeyman bigs from the poo-poo platter. Oh, shit. Of names available to fight for the spot in training camp. Knicks fans have mentioned Cisse's name over the last few weeks, and it's fun to see that the NBA champs are still trying to work the margins. This was a rare loss, but the process was right as the journey for finding another big man continues. All right, let me see. Okay. Though 2026 Summer League had its fair share of disappointments for the Knicks, it wasn't all bad. New York saw intriguing flashes from its rookies, while a few of the invites to Las Vegas turned heads at times as well. Now, this leaves the Knicks with a few things related to their Summer League roster to be addressed before their pivot to the rest of their offseason. Number one, determine contract decisions for Tyler Nickel and Jack Cahill. New York's trips to Vegas was a success on the rookie front. Tyler Nickel backed up his case to be the potential best shooter to come out of this draft by nailing 19 threes and going 41.3% from deep. Meanwhile, relative unknown Jack Cahill immediately shined as an initiator and defender. But now the Knicks have to sort out how these youngsters fit on a veteran-dominated roster that's fully designed to chase championships rather than develop rookies. This reality could particularly affect KU, who's more of a project and bet on potential paying off in the future. As a result, the team could pass on signing its top draft pick to any contract and instead have him play overseas another year. There's drawbacks to this plan, like tanking the relationship with KU and him not developing as strong as he could in the G League that could make New York open to keeping him around, but signs seem to be pointing to them taking whatever risk there is with stashing KU in favor of the benefits it brings. Nico, meanwhile, seems destined to secure a deal, but with the team extending an offer sheet to center Musa Sisse, that that ruled out Nico being signed to a standard contract. Instead, he could be bound for a two-way deal that allows him to move back and forth between the NBA and the G League, all while being developed in-house by the Knicks. He could outplay this kind of contract, but and put the Knicks in a financial bond rather than being locked down on a manageable long-term pact. But New York appears already ready to make that gamble, given its courting centers for its last roster spot right after Vegas. Number two, consider signing Liam Robbins and Jaden Atkins to two-way deals. With every team having three allotted slots for two-way deals, the Knicks can use one of a rookie and still add talent with a bit more experience. Best of all, these contracts don't count towards the team's salary cap figure, so there's possible low-cost steals to be had. Summer League presented two potential options for New York on this front and center Liam Robbins and guard Jaden Atkins. Robbins showing it's particularly noteworthy given the team's current need to shore up their front court. He showed off his offensive skills while also recording 10 blocks and 24 rebounds over 5 games. The big man has seen a little bit of run in the NBA already, making 13 appearances for the Bucks in 2024 to 25. So he's not a complete unknown, but there's also juice left to squeeze given his small runway at the pro level to this point, which makes him an intriguing no-risk player to bring in and see if his Vegas flashes can come to fruition. Then there's Atkins, a G League All-Star who turned it on offensively to close things out in Summer League. He offers an alluring archetype of spark plug off the bench, which is valuable to a contender like New York that prefers to have multiple reserves it can call upon at any point. Neither Robbins nor Atkins have long NBA track records, so that works against them if the Knicks are hoping to snag a more proven vet with a two-way contract. But both demonstrating some intriguing traits could tempt New York into making sure another team doesn't scoop them up. Of course, if Nico gets a two-way, it likely be Robbins or Atkins being signed then rather than both. That allowed the Knicks to still have a slot open for someone with more games under their belt. Number three, figure out who else could be worth keeping. The aforementioned 4 players above make up New York's top two-way candidates from Summer League, but the Knicks could still see a few of their Vegas contributors return in some kind of fashion. This would come in the form of an Exhibit 10 contract, which is a step down from a two-way contract. training camp tryout, or even adding them to their G League roster when the season rolls around. So even though some names were quieter in Las Vegas, they might end up back with the organization. Dylan Jones is one player New York could try to keep around even if he's passed up for a two-way deal. He was on such a contract this past season, but he's a current free agent and his showing in Summer League could see him deprioritized. However, the organization is familiar with him and he's been talked about positively, so maybe a reunion could take place. There's also Nick Jordan and Toby Okani, who both were on the G League team this past season and then suited up in Summer League for the franchise as well. Neither took off in Vegas, so a promotion is out of the question, but they could be targeted for another go around in the developmental ranks. Meanwhile, Isaiah Sellers and Langston Wilson could be new names the Knicks seek out when it's G League season. Sellers didn't shine 5.8 points per game in Las Vegas, but he knows what it's like to play at MSG, which is Madison Square Garden, after being with St. John's, and he showed solid three-point shooting in college that may help him get his foot in the door. Wilson only appeared in 2 games, but he showed nice energy in both with 9 points and 9 rebounds, across only 16 total minutes. That kind of hustle is going to endear him to coaches, and it may be worth probing more over an entire campaign. All right, let's see. Miles Deuce McBride, and this is from Sporting News. With the NBA League and the FIFA World Cup ending, only a few sports leagues are running at the moment. Of course, the WNBA and the MLB are still going strong, but it seems the NBA community is waiting on a certain someone to make his decision. The 41-year-old LeBron James, which I touched on in the last previous episode, um, has not made his decision about which team he will sign for just yet. This has led New York Knicks guard Miles Deuce McBride to call him out directly about making his decision quicker. Miles Deuce McBride is also excited about LeBron James's next team. While James has not made his decision just yet, he does have a short list of teams he could sign for the offseason. This includes the Cleveland Cavaliers, which he played for years ago, the Miami Heat he played for last year, the Philadelphia Sixers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Golden State Warriors. McBride's Knicks are not on the short list, but he is excited about what is to come in the NBA's future. James's decision also matters because that will set the tone for the rest of the NBA. James's decision will be a major event for the league because everyone is waiting for him. McBride and the Knicks should not have any trouble, so that is why they are excitedly waiting. Final is over. Ibron, it's your time, McBride said on X after the World Cup final. The Knicks will also be looking forward to which team will benefit from having LeBron. They are the defending champions, so they will be on the lookout for any team that tries to dethrone them. All right, so there you go. And where was I? Oh yeah, we got some more baseball stuff to talk about. Let me see. Oh, Luis Robert Jr. Um, recently got off the IL. Um, according to Amazing Avenue. The Mets have reinstated outfielder Luis Robert Jr. from the 60-day injured list, option infielder Eric Wagaman to AAA Syracuse, and outrighted fellow infielder Zach Short, who was designated for assignment a few days ago to Syracuse. Robert Jr. was one of several new acquisitions made by the Mets after the team decided to take a sharp turn from the majority of its former core at the start of the offseason. And like many of his teammates, he's had an injury marred and disappointing 2026 season thus far. After getting off to a hot start, Robert Jr. hit the injured list in late April with a 224, 327, 329 line, a 90 WRC plus, and zero point 0.1 F WAR. It'll be interesting to see how often the Mets play him between now and the trade deadline, as he's been double wally pipped by young outfielders Carson Bench and AJ Ewing, aka the Flash, since he was sidelined. In the short term, perhaps Ewing will start regularly at second base, especially since 2025 to 26 offseason acquisition. Marcus Semien has been terrible this year to allow Robert to showcase his health and skills in center field ahead of the deadline. Robert is earning $20 million this year and has a $20 million team option for the 2027 season with a $2 million buyout. I don't think they're going to pick up his. I don't think he's going to pick that up. I don't think that they're not going to pick it up. Yeah, they're not going to pick it up, man. Unfortunately, they're not going to pick it up. The guy is washed, man. Him and Simeon are both fucking washed up players, man. They're both fucking washed up players, man. Like, what are we doing? They're both washed up fucking players, man. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's more. All right. There's more. In the short term, perhaps Ewing will. Yeah, I already did that. If the Mets aren't able to trade him, though, it would behoove them to keep playing Ewing and Bench alongside Juan Soto in the outfield. And presumably, they'd relegate Robert to a semi regular role, either giving Soto some starts at DH or just having Robert serve as a DH himself. As for Wagaman, he made 42 plate appearances for the Mets, and he's hit just 162, 162, 262, 324 with a 68 WRC plus. Once Mark Vientos hit the injured list, Wagaman started getting regular starts as Jarrett Young's platoon partner at first base. The Mets haven't started anyone other than those three players at first base since early May. Maybe they'll just let Young face lefties for the time being. And last but not least, Short has hit just 140, 262, 180, and 62 major league plate appearances this year, the vast majority of which came with the Tigers. All right, let's see. Let me see. Um, what is this? I forgot to talk about this one right here. New York Knicks fans went into draft night last month knowing there was a solid chance that their team wouldn't make any picks. Yet they had a myriad of names they wanted their team to draft. Names like Isaiah Evans, Dalen Swain, Alan Graves, Zuby Ejiofor, Cameron Card, Terrace Reed, Alex Caravan, and Malik Thomas were all on the fans' wish list. Wish list, yeah. Instead, Leon Rose traded down, and the team ended up with Jack Cahill and Tyler Nickel, two second rounders who both showed some promise during their summer league minutes in Las Vegas. Assessing Jack Cahill's summer league performance. When the summer league roster was first announced, Cahill's name was suspiciously absent, which turned some heads as he revealed on draft night that he intended to stay in the States. The rookie guard eventually received approval to play in the exhibition games and averaged 8.8 points per game, 3 RPG, 3.5 APG, and 1.8 SPG, while shooting 34% from 3 and 23 from the field across 4 contests. The stats, much like his initial report, were a pretty mixed bag. So let's see. So 8.8 points per game, 34% shooting, 1.2 threes, um, 23% three, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.8 steals, 22.4 minutes. I do think that the stats do him some disservice, though. At first glance, the stats tell you he's a good player who lacks the scoring skills and shooting to be effective anytime soon. While that could be still the case, it's hard to judge a player's current skill and potential solely based on statistics. Having good stats with high efficiency is obviously preferred, but plenty of players have struggled during summer league and ended up more than okay. The Knicks' very own Jalen Brunson is a perfect example of that. Brunson averaged 6.8 points, 4.4 assists, and 2.8 rebounds per game, while shooting 22.7% from the field and 30% from 3 in the 2018 NBA Summer League with the Dallas Mavericks. KO's shooting still needs work, but very few prospects shots don't. KU showed the potential of being able to hit some tough shots off the dribble, both in the mid-range and from 3, while also still being a driving threat. With time and work, he could end up profiling as a confident 3-level scorer who plays with pace. As a passer, the 20-year-old also showed a knack for hitting cutters with great accuracy and was a willing passer when looking ahead to start transition opportunities. He also showed that his height helps him be a solid defender when engaged. But Kale also showed, as expected, that he's a very raw talent. Besides the shooting inconsistency, his ball handling still needs some work. He is a plus athlete, but he doesn't have the upper echelon athleticism to get by on subpar or even mediocre ball handling. It's not bad by any means. And again, KL had some nice moves throughout the games, but he also had moments where he struggled. When factoring in his age and the unique circumstances of his route to the summer league, though it's hard to look at his numbers as a complete failure. It may not have been the explosive performances that fans were hoping to see. But it's also difficult to realistically expect much more from a 20-year-old taken with the 39th pick. He still has a lot of room to grow from a shot selection and consistency standpoint, but at least fans were also able to see some of the things the Knicks saw when they chose to draft him. All right, Jack Cahill is a B, assessing Tyler Nichols' summer league performance. In many ways, Nickel is the opposite of Cahill. Nickel is a bit of an older prospect at 22 years old. He recently played college ball, unlike Cahill, who played professionally overseas. And unlike Cahill, who showed he may develop into a player with multiple strengths, but has no clear one right now. Nico already has one NBA ready skill, shooting, and boy did he shoot. Nico took not just a team leading, but the Summer League leading 46 3-point attempts across 5 games, and he made 19 of them. The awesome part about it came in all sorts of ways. Some shooters are great standstill spot up shooters. Knicks fans watched one over a decade ago with Steve Novak, and even right now, much of the team outside of a few guys, I'll bet, being great at shooting, are standstill shooters. These guys are incredible shooters when standing still and spotting up, but they just aren't nearly as dynamic as guys who can shoot on the move. Think J.J. Redick, Kyle Korver, and for the Knicks, guys like Evan Fournier and Dante DiVincenzo. They can come off down screens, come sprinting across the baseline, or pull up in transition on a whim's notice. Shooters like them are much more difficult to defend and can often make things even easier for teammates. While it's hard to claim that Nico will be as successful in the league as any of those guys, he does possess a similar type of shooting ability during the summer league, where he averaged 12.2 points per game, 3.6 RPG, 1.6 APG, and 1.08 SPG on 37.5% shooting from the field and 41.3% from three. Nico pulled up pretty much whenever he could, and he did it confidently and without any hesitation, but he never tried to do more than he could. His shots still came within the offense, and he did a great job of balancing the aforementioned confidence with patience and selflessness. Okay, so the stats from Nichols includes 12.2 points per game, 38% shooting, 3.8 threes, 41% three, 3.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 1 steal. But again, Nico came in as a shooter. Everybody knew that regardless of how he performed in the NBA Summer League. He was one of the best shooters in the draft class. What surprised many, though, was his motor. The shooting can get him into games. His effort and defense are what will keep him on the court. And if these games were a sign of things to come, it bodes well for that. It bodes well for both him and the Knicks. On multiple occasions, Nico had sequences where he was rotating like a madman and flying around the court, saving balls from going out of bounds and fighting for loose balls. Reminds me of Dennis Rodman when he played with the Chicago Bulls. Oh shit. KO may have a higher ceiling, but Nichols' combination of shooting and hustle is something no team can have too much of. New York will be focused on trying to win back-to-back championships, but if there are any injuries or if they want to take the regular season a bit easy, Nichols could end up getting some run as a two-way player. And as for Tyler Nichols, he gets an A minus. A B and A minus, not bad, man. Not bad, man. Let's make some noise for Tyler Nichols and KO. All right. Let me make sure I don't forget anything. Actually. Yeah, here's another shock. Here's one of the shocks that we got to talk about too. Former Mets coach Eric Chavez. All right. Before I even forget this, so let me just get into that right here. Hold on 1 second here. So, according to Yahoo Sports, former New York Mets hitting coach and bench coach Eric Chavez offered a brutal takedown of Moneyball Sterns, the team's president of baseball operations, in an episode of the EC3 Podcast on June 28th. Sterns has come under heavy criticism for the Mets' struggles in 2026. Although manager Carlos Mendoza was fired with team off to a 35-48 start, many have pointed to Sterns' off-season roster moves as being primarily reason for the team's poor play. For a fan or even a reporter to register that complaint is one thing. Chavez's time with the Mets began as the team's hitting coach in 2022, before he became bench coach in 2023. When the Mets hired Sterns after the 2023 season, Chavez moved back to the hitting coach position from 2024 to 25. Chavez used his podcast appearance to unpack his mostly negative first-hand impressions of Sterns from their 2 seasons together. Chavez said his first red flag was when Sterns asked him to take a $30 pay cut, $40,000 pay cut after changing roles. The second was when Chavez openly disagreed via email and in person with Stearns' missive to have their minor league hitters focus on pull side power. And he sided with a AAA analytical hitting guy. The third was revealed in an incident involving star outfielder Juan Soto. Soto struggled the first 2 months emotionally, Chavez recalled. I don't blame him. A big move going from the Yankees. Maybe had a little bit of buyer's remorse. In between innings, Soto would run from the outfield and go sit in the batting cage on the couch and not be in the dugout with teammates. This isn't a Juan issue. This is a lack of leadership, a lack of accountability from the top down, as Wardy and along with the other folks was talking about. And we had an assistant GM who would sit there with Soto. The assistant GM would sit there with him and kind of coddle him, tap him on the shoulder without saying, hey, dude, how about getting in the dugout with your teammates? So I brought this up to Stearns and I said this is a huge problem because now we have younger players on the team. They are seeing this. You guys are allowing this. And he goes, well, those players need to learn that they are not Juan Soto. Chavez concluded by saying this was the third red flag. This is not a backbone type of leader from a GM because it trickles down. Stearns' use of the phrase run prevention in lieu of pitching and defense also drew criticism from Chavez, who called it the biggest piece of garbage that has come out of his mouth. Let's not insult everybody with your big words, Chavez says. Chavez reserved his insults for only one man. As he should, man. As he should. As he fucking should, though, man. And he's right, man. Him and the Nerd Boat analytics are a fucking mess. They're a fucking mess. I mean, what did you expect? You know what I'm saying? What did you expect, man? Anyway, he's right. I agree. Okay, I forgot to touch on this a little early. Hold on a second. I can touch on this actually. So Bo Bichette breaks his silence on the trade rumors. So let's get to that actually. So as rumors surround the New York Mets ahead of the trade deadline, many players are being speculated that could be on the trade block, like Francisco Lindor, which I touched on earlier, Bo Bichette, and others. While Bichette specifically has been in rumors for the Mets, the star himself would speak about the talks. Bichette started poorly to start his first season in New York, though he has since come around as before Saturday. He had 844 OPS over his previous 36 games and has a 253, 297, 372 slash line overall. Despite the rumors, Bichette's 3-year, $126 million contract with the Mets does have a no trade clause, as he was asked if he would use it. All right. All right. He said that hasn't been brought to my attention right now, so I don't have an answer, Bichette said, according to the New York Post. Another part of his contract is that he can opt out after this season, though he would say that type of decision isn't happening anytime soon. I signed here, he said in quote, I signed here because I believed in the talent here, and it's exciting to play for an organization that was trying to win, Bichette said. The reason I signed the contract was to have freedom for my own career. So I guess it would be too early to tell. Bichette speaks more about the Mets, recording 10 home runs and 51 RBIs on the season thus far for the Mets. Bichette is considered by some to be a long shot to be traded, especially with the variables in his contract. Asked about opting out once more, one reporter inquired if the direction of the team would factor in his decision. I think there's a lot of positive things here and also some things that haven't gone right, Bichette said. Obviously, that is something everybody can see, but everything will be taken into account. Some of the positives Bichette would mention about New York are the young players that give the team a good outlook for the future, along with the ball club's determination to win. At any rate, it remains to be seen what the Mets will do with Bichette ahead of the August 3rd deadline. I don't think Bo Bichette is going anywhere, man. And like I said, man, I think he's turned things around though, man. And you're gonna need somebody like Bo Bichette to possibly, in case Lindor gets a day off, to play shortstop. You're gonna need this guy. He doesn't just play third base. he also plays shortstop though, man. And I don't think you can just put him in a box to one position. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real though, man. And to his point, like, listen, both Lindor and Bichette, they're not worried too much about it though, man. You know what I mean? Because these players, they can't control what's going on. They can't control what's going on. All right. So this is just another way of this is just saying that that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So and let's not overhype the stupid trade deadline and these fucking mock drafts and the stupid predictions, okay? Some of y'all Mets fans making one of the craziest, dumbest predictions that I ever seen posted online. All right. We gotta wait and see, man. Let the damn shit play out, man, in the process. Let the shit play out. And as far as the Luke Weaver situation, listen, man, I don't think it would be wise to trade Luke Weaver, man. And to be honest, I have to say he has been the most phenomenal player that I ever seen, despite the accidental part of giving up a home run to Trey Turner. Regardless, he's still a phenomenal player. Like over 26 outs. All right. So let's not give up on these fucking players, okay? Let's not give up on these players. Regardless of the numbers, regardless of anything. They are human beings just like us. And I want to point out of what Alfred said on the Metropolitan Report podcast. You can have the biggest payroll all you want, but you're not going to be able to guarantee, wins of every game. You can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee to buy a championship. Just concentrate on winning games. All right? And don't worry about the high expectations being put on you. You can have the New York media all you want, but it's going to actually, they like to make rage bait videos to create drama. So do the best you can to actually win you more games instead of losses. Don't worry about carrying the burden of excess baggage of mistakes that you made, errors that you made, whatever it is, just continue to play the best baseball games that you ever played. And just have fun, man. Stop worrying about being like the Dodgers. And let the excess baggage of blaming yourself and being hard on yourself go. Let that go, man, because that's not going to help you. All right? Just have some fun. All right? And that is my take on this, man. Recently, the Mets signed a draft player who goes by the name of Carson Higgins. I want to get to that right here. No, excuse me, Carson Wiggins. Excuse me, Carson Wiggins. Carson Wiggins. Here we go. All right, so this happened Wednesday, according to MetsMerizedOnline.com. Wednesday was a special day at Citi Field for the New York Mets 2026 first round draft selection, Carson Wiggins. The University of Arkansas product and the Mets officially came to an agreement, inking the 21-year-old to the full $3,466,500 slot value. All right. He was the 16th player to be selected in the first round from Arkansas in draft history. The Mets drafted him number 27 overall. Wiggins, brother of Chicago Cubs' top 100 prospect Jackson Wiggins, was ranked as MLB Pipeline's number 88 draft prospect. He was in New York on Tuesday and on Wednesday, where he donned number 26 in the orange and blue. Wiggins is an electric arm, and we are thrilled to welcome him to the organization. Mets Vice President and amateur scouting Chris Gross, said in a statement. He's an elite athlete that offers premium velocity, two swing and miss breaking pitches, and an emerging changeup. We are confident he will continue to grow in our player development system and are excited to watch what he can do. The righty out of the University of Arkansas had arguably the best fastball in the MLB draft, averaging 99 miles per hour and touching 102 miles per hour. In 2025, prior to undergoing internal brace surgery. Hang on 1 second here. And his first time back on a mound prior to the draft was at the MLB Combine, where his fastball velocity was touching 92 to 97 miles per hour of the course of 8 pitches. His curveball hit 75 to 78 miles per hour, with his changeup and cutter hitting 87 miles per hour and his slider hitting 84. The Mets potentially could slot Wiggins into minor league games, but that has yet to be determined. With the signing of Wiggins, the Mets have now locked in their top draft pick since 2021, when it was just Kumar Rocker who went unsigned due to injury concerns. Okay. All right. I want to go to, let's see if there's anything else to talk about here. Hold on 1 second here. I see. For those of you who may not know what's going on, I'm watching through my tablet of the Mets and Brewers game. Jared Young just hit um, a solo home run, a solo home run, and so far the Mets are leading 1-0 right now in the second inning. I'm gonna continue to watch the rest of the game on the tablet after I get off the air and stuff. So there you go, right there. I want to actually hang on 1 second here. And yeah, that's not bad so far, man. The game just started, so I didn't miss much. Let's see. Let me make sure I get this right. Now I want to take a look at Down on the Farm and of course on the Mets upcoming schedule and stuff like that. So let's get into the sports rundown. Let's get into the sports rundown real quick. All right. So a little recap from the 20th of July. I want to actually do a recap Down on the Farm. According to Amazing Avenue, of course. Let's see. So okay, so the Syracuse Mets slipped back to 500 in the second half, falling short in a sloppy slobber knocker that saw both teams log 9 hits and slug 2 home runs apiece. And coming into the ninth, Syracuse was still losing, but the score was a much more palatable 4-3. In the ninth, Ben Simon and Gio Zuniga combined to allow 4 runs on 3 hits and a pair of walks. Not what you want to see, especially in the ninth. G1 Bay 0 for 5, Nick Morabito DHs 1 for 4 with an RBI, 2 strikeouts, and hit by pitch. Ronnie Mauricio 1 for 4 and 5 errors. MJ Melendez 1 for 4 and along with a strikeout. Christopher Morel 2 for 4 with a run and 2 strikeouts. Christian Arroyo 1 for 4 with a run and home run, his 7th, and 2 RBIs. Yanni Hernandez 1 for 4 with a run and 3 strikeouts. Christian Pache 0 for 2, 2 walks, and 2 walks and 2 walks, yeah. Hayden Sanger 2 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Right-handed pitchers include Robert Stock 4.0 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 error, no walks, 3 strikeouts, hit by pitch. Tobias Myers 2.0 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 errors, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, hit by pitch. And rehab alert. Right-handed pitcher Daniel Nunez 1.0 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, no walks, 1 strikeout. Left-handed pitcher Joe Jocks 0.2 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, no errors, no walks, 1 strikeout. HBP, hit by pitch. Really? That's what that is? Right-handed pitcher Ben Simon, 0.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 4 runs, 4 errors, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and two wins and 3 losses. So he takes the loss. And right-handed pitcher Gio Zuniga, 0.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, no walks, and 1 strikeout. So, roster alert: New York Mets sent Zach Short outright to Syracuse Mets. New York Mets also sent Daniel Nunez on a rehab assignment to Syracuse Mets. Robert Stock has been activated by the Syracuse Mets from the 60-day injured list. And let's see, Double A Binghamton Robo Ponies 27, 24, 65. Akron 7, Binghamton 3. Jonathan Santucci pitched a lot better than his final line suggests. He gave up 6 hits and a pair of walks over 5.2 innings, allowing just 1 extra base hit, but every hit seemed to come at a bad time, hence the 4 earned runs. On the bright side, the left-hander struck out a career-high 13 batters, the second time in 3 July starts that he reached double-digit strikeouts. He struck out 10 Bay Sox batters on July 5th. Nick LaRusso added 2 more hits to a very quiet, solid season, and Jose Ramos hit a double, but the Binghamton offense continues to not get it done. Chris Serrero, 0 for 3 with a run, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and 10 errors. Jose Ramos, 1 for 4, 1 for 4 with a double, and 2 strikeouts and 7 errors. Nick LaRusso, 2 for 4 with a run. JT Schwartz, 0 and 2 with a run, walk, 2 strikeouts, hit by a pitch. Matt Rudick, 0 for 3, RBI, walk, and a strikeout. Vincent Perozzo, 0 for 3, RBI, and a strikeout. Kevin Villavicencio, 1 for 4, RBI, strikeout, 3 errors. Jalen Palmer, 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. Nick Rosselli, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Jonathan Santucci, 5.2 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 errors, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts. Winning pitcher. No, hold on. WP. I don't know. Yeah. L is, I don't know, man. L is the loss, I believe. So it's 2 and 7. Yeah, winning pitcher. I guess. Carlos Guzman, 1.1 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, no errors, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Douglas Orellana, 1.0 innings pitched, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Zach Peak, 1.0 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 error, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, winning pitcher. And let's go over. Oh shit! Damn, Cyclones getting beaten by Hudson Valley. Damn, sheesh. Well, that's crazy. Okay. So, okay, let's see. All right, so the Brooklyn Cyclones, early on, things didn't look too bleak for Brooklyn. Frank Camarillo had allowed 3 runs over 3 innings, yes, but the offense had kept pace, with Davison Gutierrez driving a run in with an RBI double in the second, and Corey Collins doing the same with a single in the third. Calvin Ziegler came in to pitch the fourth, and all hell broke loose from there there on in. In his inning began with a runner reaching base via catcher's interference, and that really set the tone for things. The former top prospect then walked the batter, threw a wild pitch, walked another batter, threw another wild pitch, walked the next 2 batters, and then allowed the triple, allowing 4 runs to score, all without recording a single out. By and large, the relievers following him weren't any better, with Tanner Witt and his 1.1 innings of scoreless relief being the only stretch of success for the Brooklyn bullpen. Mitch Voigt is 0 for 3. Jonathan Henriquez 0 for 3 with a strikeout. John Bay 2 for 3 with a run and 2 doubles. Corey Collins 1 for 3 RBI, 2 strikeouts. Ronald Hernandez 1 for 3, a run, strikeout, 10 errors. Davison Gutierrez, 1 for 3, 2 doubles. 2 doubles or 2 walk. No, 2 doubles. It's 2 doubles. RBI and a strikeout. No, it's a walk. I'm sorry. It's a walk. A walk, actually, yeah. Yahara Cuevas, 0 for 3 and 2 strikeouts. Jamari Baylor, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Sam Biller, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Frank Camarillo, 3.0 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 errors, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and he's the losing pitcher. 2 wins and 1 loss. Calvin Ziegler, no innings pitched, no hits, 5 runs, 4 errors, 4 walks, no strikeouts, and 2 winning pitcher. Bryce Jenkins, 1.0 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 error, no walks, 1 strikeout. Josh Blum, 1.0 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 errors, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. Hunter Hodges, 0.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 runs, 3 errors, 4 walks, and 1 strikeout. Tanner Witt, 1.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Now, game 2, Hudson Valley, 5. Brooklyn was it 7? At least Brooklyn was a little more competitive in this one. Scoring 2 runs per game is generally not conducive to winning. Mitch Voigt is 0 for 4 with an RBI and a strikeout. Jonathan Henriquez 0 for 4. John Bay 0 for 3 with a walk, 2 strikeouts. Ronald Hernandez 0 for 4 with a strikeout. JT Benson 1 for 1 for run, and I believe this is a double. 2 walks. 2 walks, and Davison Gutierrez 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Jamari Baylor 0 for 1 with 2 walks. Colin Hulk 1 for 2 with a run. Believe that's a triple. A walk and a strikeout. Trace Will Hoyt 0 for 2 RBI, walk, and strikeout. Jose Chirinos, 5.0 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 errors, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and of course, one win and 5 losses. Rehab start for right-handed pitcher Kevin Herget, 1.0 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, no errors, no walks, 1 strikeout. Right-handed pitcher Rafi Vasquez, 1.0 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 errors, no walks, no strikeouts. And of course, single A, St. Lucie 8, Palm Beach 6. St. Lucie jumped out to an early lead, scoring 3 runs in the top of the first and continued adding on. The pitching, meanwhile, was cooking with Ethan Lentia, Tyler McLaughlin, and Jonathan Jimenez combining to throw 5 scoreless innings. The bullpen finally gave in the later innings, with Luis Alvarez allowing a run in the 6th and him and Ernesto Mercedes combining to allow 5 more in the 7th. But Mercedes threw a clean 8th, and Miguel Mejias locked down the 9th, preventing further damage. Trey Snyder had himself an exceptional game, going 4 for 5 with a triple and a homer, and may be working himself back into top prospect consideration. Okay. Rehab alert, shortstop Marco Vargas, 0 for 2 with a run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and the pinch hitter, third baseman Taylor Darden, he had a walk. Third baseman, shortstop Antonio Jimenez, 2 for 5 with a strikeout. Rehab alert, Mike Talkman, 2 for 5, 2 runs, and a double. Randy Guzman, 1 for 4, 2 runs, RBI, walk, and strikeout. Trey Snyder, 4 for 5, 2 runs, a triple, home run, 5 RBIs, a strikeout. And Branny D'Olio, 2 for 4 with a run, home run, his 7th, 2 RBIs, walk, and strikeout. Simon Juan, 1 for 4, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Jackson Hodge, 0 for 5 with a strikeout. Francisco Toledo, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Julio Zayas, 0 for 0. Right-handed pitcher Ethan Lentia, 2.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Tyler McLaughlin, 1.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and was the winning pitcher. Jonathan Jimenez, 1.0 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, no errors, no walks, 1 strikeout. Luis Alvarez, 1.1 innings pitched, 2 hits, 4 runs, 4 errors, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. Ernesto Mercedes, 1.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 errors, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Miguel Mejias, 1.0 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, no errors, no walks, 3 strikeouts. And yeah, there you go right there. That was your sports. Of course, I'm going to go over the Mets schedule. Before I wrap up here, let me go over the Mets schedule real quick. All righty then. Let me see. Where is it? Okay. For the month of July. So, so tomorrow, July 22nd, Mets versus Brewers. Afternoon game starts at 2:10 p.m. on SNY. Friday, July 24th, the Dodgers versus New York Mets at Citi Field, Flushing, Queens, New York. Game time starts at 7:10 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, July 25th, Dodgers versus New York Mets at 7:15 p.m. on Fox 5. Check your local listings. Sunday, July 26th, Dodgers versus New York Mets at 1:40 p.m. on SNY. Monday, July 27th, Braves versus Mets, 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Following July 28th, Braves versus New York Mets at 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, July 29th, Braves versus New York Mets at 1:10 p.m. on SNY. Thursday, they don't get the day off this time, but they play against the Marlins versus the New York Mets. But they play against the Marlins at Citi Field, 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Friday, July 31st, Marlins versus New York Mets, 7:10 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, August 1st, Marlins versus the Mets at 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, August 2nd, Marlins versus the Mets, 1:40 p.m. on SNY. August 3rd, the Mets are off. Tuesday, August 4th, New York Mets versus the Guardians, 6:40 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, August 5th, New York Mets versus the Guardians, 6:40 p.m. on SNY. Thursday, August 6th, New York Mets versus Guardians, 1:10 p.m. on SNY. Friday, the Mets go against the Pirates, 6:40 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, August 8th, New York Mets versus the Pirates again, 6:40 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, August 9th, Mets versus Pirates at 1:35 p.m. on SNY. All right. And then they go on the road. Actually. They go on the road to play against the Braves on Monday, August the 10th, 7:15 p.m. on SNY. And the same goes for Tuesday, August the 11th, as the Mets take on the Braves at 7:15 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, August 12th, the Mets take on the Braves at 7:15 p.m. on SNY. Friday, August 14th, Nationals versus the Mets, 7:10 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, August 15th, Nationals versus Mets at 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, August 16th, Nationals versus the Mets, 1:40 p.m. on SNY. Hopefully the Mets could beat the Nationals and get their shit together, okay? Hopefully they'll get their shit together. All right. So there you go. All right. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to wrap up right here. I'm gonna wrap up right now, man, so I can catch up on the rest of this gig. All right. And like I said, man, the Mets are leading 1-0 over the Brewers right now. I think they're about to be in the third inning, or this. Yeah, they're in the third inning right now. So let me just wrap up right here. Hold on 1 second here. Let me set this up. All right, time for stream choices on the go. All right, let's go. Let's do this. All right, folks, make sure you follow the Sports Edition show. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast on Facebook alongside with Blue Sky Social, Threads, and Instagram. The same goes for my other podcast shows. The entertainment review show, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, alongside with my comedy Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue podcast. I just recorded episode 446. Make sure you check that out. And of course, I just recorded episodes 159, 160, 161, and 162. All right. So make sure you go check that out. And of course, you can subscribe to the YouTube channels. G Money Stacks 555. Of course, this sports platform right here, this sports YouTube channel right here, and of course, Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast as well. Make sure you tell all your friends about. Make sure you tell all your friends about the podcast right here, and alongside with the other podcast shows that I'm doing. So yeah, there you go, right there. And yes, you can subscribe to the channel. Leave a like and a comment. Tell me how you feel about the sports topics in today's episode involving any of the topics that's been discussed in this episode, especially the Eric Chavez's, the New York Knicks' summer league and its ups and downs and stuff, and as far as the players that they drafted, and alongside with the trade rumors that was discussed in this episode, and everything else in between. So, yeah, there you go right there. And, of course, be sure to share your thoughts by expressing yourself in the comment section below. And be sure to click on the notification alerts so you know when I'll be on the air live on the next episode recording. And all that great stuff right there. And like I said, man, like I said before, I'm not able to put the episodes on streaming platforms because I'm using the Chromebook and I'm not able to copy and paste. So all this is going to have to wait till after I get me a new job and a new laptop that includes Windows 11. So there you go right there. And that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for me, man. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes with now or later, just like the candy. And thank you very much for tuning in to episode 127, titled "Shocks," which is dedicated to the shocking things that happened, including everything that's been discussed. Whether it's the New York Knicks, the New York Mets, whatever it is. Remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. And of course, be sure to also follow your goals and dreams. Don't let nobody tell you there's no money into something. You just got to build it from the ground up. And it takes time to build up your platforms, especially on YouTube, whatsoever. And yeah. So also, if you're gonna create a podcast, find your niche, know what your show is going to be about, and be on your P's and Q's on a recording basis, creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. Also whatever sports topics I didn't get a chance to cover, I will cover that in the next episode whatsoever. So So yeah, there you go right there. I'm gonna be out of here. I'm gonna watch the rest of this game. So far, the score is still 1-0 right now. So still 1-0 right now. So I'm gonna continue watching the rest of this game and all that great stuff right there, man. And I'll see y'all next time. Stay tuned for more new sports topics in the next episode. All right. Peace and one love. I hope y'all are safe out there during the flash flooding and everything else in between, whether you are in New Jersey, whether you are in the middle, whether you are in Long Island, even the middle of Long Island, even if you are from Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. Make sure you stay in your cribs. If any weather-related things happen as far as like torrential rain and flash flooding, especially those who take the subway. I hope y'all are safe out there whatsoever. And hopefully the MTA could actually do something to put the pumps in the subway stations so the water doesn't flood the stations and the subway trains and stuff. So hopefully they'll figure something out. All right. I'm out of here. Peace and one love. In the words of Ken Stars, make sure you also check out his Tri-State of Mind radio show on Hot 97 on Saturdays, 10 to 11 with Linda and Ray. All right. Have a good night, everybody.